tiny explosions in the lungs, the hidden risk of mechanical ventilation. Guys, that's going to be a topic of today's video. As always, if you want to learn more about survival and preparedness in the realistic manner that I do it here in the channel, you have the channel with a lot of information and videos already uploaded, and you have my books, Street Survival Skills and Surviving the Economic Collapse, based on my first-hand experience of going through such an event in Argentina, something that is very relevant given what we see happening with the economy all over the world. You will have them in the links there below in Amazon. Guys, this is something that, let me make this super clear. First of all, I'm not a doctor. I just read and try to understand things as best as I can. And it is true that maybe since I do this, I have more time to research a little bit further and read a little bit more. Not a doctor, capable of reading, and I'm not anti-science. I adore science. I think science is great. The only thing I'm anti in all aspects, in politics, in healthcare, the only thing I'm anti is anti-stupidity and anti-herd mentality. Whenever I see people moving like in a cult, that's something that I'm not aligned with at all. So that's where I'm coming from. Keep that in mind. In this case, the risks of mechanical ventilators. So mechanical ventilators save lives, I get it, yeah, but they may also be causing hidden damage. A groundbreaking study reveals that a repeated collapse and reopening of tiny air sacs in the lungs create intense microscopic stress akin to tiny explosions that may contribute to life-threatening ventilator-induced lung injury. So it may end up saving your life. It may end up putting oxygen in your blood when desperately needed so as to not cause organ failure, but it may be, hurting or even destroying your lungs little by little. This is very interesting. We have this an older article back in the COVID pandemic times in which a lot of this was going on. The idea of, dude, the people we put on ventilators, they're all dying. It got so bad at some point that the assessment was that a new study found that ventilators were responsible for nearly all COVID-19 patient deaths. Is it true? Well, at that time it was like, the fact, a headline shared widely on social media is spreading an erroneous narrative that COVID-19 deaths were actually caused by mechanical ventilators, not the disease. Was that true? Probably not. But this is the point in which you get into why are they doing this? Why are they spreading this? Because instead of having a common sense, more balanced, logical approach of, maybe it's not good, maybe it is causing more disease, more deaths than we would thought. No, it is all of them. So you have two camps. You have the guy that believes it or the guy that does not. And whatever camp you're in, it is extreme opposite. It is working towards polarizing the narrative of this, of everything else. Polarizing people is super efficient and super useful for people that are actually in control of things, right? So you destroy the possibility of researching further into any risks that you may have with mechanical ventilation, especially at that time when they were selling like pancakes. Mechanical ventilators were going like crazy for an insane price in the market. So the manufacturers were making a ton of money. Medical companies and hospitals and all of the people related to all of the pharma industry were loving this, right? But maybe it was not entirely exactly as it was presented. These are all patients who would have died if they had not been put on a mechanical ventilator. You can't be at risk. You can't be at risk for a ventilator secondary pneumonia if you're dead, right? But what about the risks of putting someone too early into one and not allowing them to naturally progress through the disease and your lungs going through a process of what they're going through instead of immediately, no, we're going to help him breathe. And those are the words that you immediately accepted. Yeah, please help my loved one breathe. He's obviously not breathing. And if you're not breathing, you're dying. Well, maybe, just maybe, you have to let people try to breathe on their own a little bit more before connecting them to a machine. Because that's what this study has found. The study suggests that minimizing these repetitive collapse and reopening cycles could significantly reduce ventilator-induced lung injury. Researchers noted that adjusting ventilator strategies to prevent such events may improve outcome for critical ill patients. The study findings could also help inform the development of new ventilator protocols aimed at reducing lung injury and improving patient care in intensive care. So what I get from this is, as soon as you connect someone to this gadget, there's going to be some kind of damage. Micro tear and wear in the... Why? Because it's not natural. It is a machine. Look, many years ago, when I was still in high school, I don't remember a whole lot about my time in school, high school in general, but this I do remember. And this says a lot about how important practical hands-on experiences. We were in a biology class, and being in Argentina, we actually had some actual organs to handle and see. And being in Argentina, those organs were cow organs, because cow is like meat, and Argentina is cow. So we had like hearts and lungs and whatnot. So at some point we had to with a cow lung, blow into the lung and see how it expanded. And people were obviously a little bit icky about organs and blood and whatnot. I'm not particularly sensitive to that sort of thing. So yeah, I had the beautiful task of blowing through the trachea of this dead cow. Well, basically, it's not the cow itself. It was the lung and the entire trachea, right? The tube. It was actually like a rubber tube. So blowing through that thing and seeing how it expanded, it was pretty cool. And I get it why people are all a bit. We weren't worrying too much about mad cow or anything like that, because anything that creature had, I probably got it myself too. Nothing happened, everything was fine. But I do remember how it was freaking up. It was like a balloon. You would blow through the trachea, which was like a plastic tube, and it was like shh. And blowing a little bit more, you could like inflate it, and you saw it pop, like the little sacs, like pop, pop, pop. All of the sacs of the lung. It's not just a lung, it's the lung and smaller sacs that if you blow hard enough, and it was actually trying to blow it up, I could not. The dead lung was stronger than I was in terms of trying to make it pop like a balloon, but you heard the sound of tuck, 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 all of the little sacs expanding, and I was like, wow, that is super interesting. Now, I remember years later thinking, well, that's, there has to be stress in doing that. In blowing like in a balloon, it could not possibly be the same way as having a diaphragm that is pulling on the other side and air flows in and not being forced through a machine or through someone blowing inside. There has to be some kind of difference. It has to be a lot more towards the lung is designed to work that way, not what I'm doing or what the machine is doing. And apparently it is true. So basically the idea here is minimize the amount of time on a ventilator as much as you can. Yes, if you're going to die and you need oxygen in your blood, maybe you don't have a choice, but as soon as you can, as quickly as possible, go back to natural, which apparently is always best. Folks, I hope you learned something from this. If you have, I appreciate if you subscribe to the channel, thumbs up, share, comment. See you later. Take care.